Hi. Hello, Teni speaking. Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm just going to get right into it. This video is called Actually Life is Long and We Have Time. And that is because in this video I'm going to be showing video of my 16th year of being on God's green earth and just like the memories and just talking through it. And I just have I kind of have a problem with comparison. I think it's getting better and it's just making these videos something really therapeutic because it shows me how many good moments I have in my life to be grateful of, and just obviously the format and everything, it makes it look really great. Also, if you want practical tips to help me kind of get over comparison to an extent, then you can skip to this timestamp I'm going to put there, and then you have some practical tips. So actually now I'm going to watch it and then we can, I guess I'm reacting to it, which is a bit weird because I made it, but you know.
A few moments later.
Found it. Okay. I'm just going to watch it and react to it. Okay, so first thing is these are tears of joy because on my birthday my mom and my best friend surprised me, and so I wasn't expecting anything, and so literally I walked out and I saw like the streamers, and that was all I saw, and I was already like bawling because I cried a lot, but I was really surprised. That one is so true. Okay, so yeah, I mean obviously the video looks pretty dope. I really like the video. I really like editing videos, but I want to talk about comparison because I feel like that video, I think it makes my life look pretty great, and I am very grateful for everything I have. But if you cut any like amount of videos in like quick succession and you add like really upbeat music, it will look great, and this is like something TikTok has decided. So the first thing is like, don't compare yourself to everything you see, which I feel like that is like obviously has been said so many times, and that's because I think we all know deep inside that it's true. Obviously I had many days when I was like, you know, crying. I had many days that were like less than good, but you don't really see that here, and that's obviously because I chose to put the best moments. But you can't compare yourself to an incomplete picture. Now, the thing with comparison, the first kind of point I want to make is that you and the person you're comparing yourself to are living two completely different lives. And so if you are around my age and you're doing like college applications and everything, you can't really compare yourself to that person who's studying economics when you want to study architecture. And even if you both want to study architecture, you're probably coming from two different backgrounds. You're going to go on to do two different things. God has two completely different plans for you. And so it doesn't really make sense for you to be comparing yourself to that other person who has been made for something so completely different than from what you've been made. Like, you're on two completely different trajectories, and it doesn't really make sense to compare those two completely different things. There's a Bible verse, I think it is in 1 Corinthians, and it's talking about how the eye of the body can't just be like, oh well, since I'm not a hand, I guess I'm not useful. Because we can all see how like silly that sounds. Your eyes are useful, your hands are useful, and just because they do different things, it doesn't necessarily make one any better than the other. Obviously, you know, somebody could argue that, I don't know, they prefer their hands over their feet, but they're both equally important, and we can see that. So like, it's the same concept that we can apply to ourselves, you know. And then for me, I've been really into like Enneagram and like personality types, and I agree, guys. At first, okay, the sign, it looks kind of like cultish and everything, but I think it can be a good tool if you're not like basing your whole personality on it. And I'm a 4, and at first I was like, oh, you know, I don't really want that. I want to be a 3 and everything. But the person that God has made a 3, that person is completely different from me. I have like good qualities, the person has good qualities as well, and I would waste so much time trying to be like the other person when I could be spending time appreciating what I have and like kind of like cultivating talent God has given me. And so again, doesn't really make much sense, especially because I don't know, the effort you're putting in to try and kind of be like the other person, it just probably is so much more effort than you're putting in to just be yourself. I know just be yourself is questionable advice, but you get what I mean in the scenario. Another thing that I was going to talk about with comparison is this idea of comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Because again, we're all on different parts, and with like social media and everything, you're kind of getting an incomplete picture. So imagine, I would tell the story of a TikTok. I saw this guy and he was like skimboarding, and I was like, wow, that is so cool. I wish I could do something as cool as that. Then obviously I went to his page because it was really cool. And then firstly, he's like a professional skimboarder or something, so like he does that and he's been doing it for a really long time. And even that one video I watched, there was so many, he posted the bloopers, like it took him so many tries to get it right. So imagine I would have been comparing myself to that incomplete picture, not even knowing the full story. So I think that's the thing. Comparison in itself, it often is not even, you're comparing yourself to like an impossible standard, you know. Another example with that comparing your beginning with someone else's middle is kind of like with fitness, because you know, you see people who are so like fit and they can do so much, but they started from somewhere as well. And the more time you spend comparing yourself to someone else, that's time taken away from you actually, like where you could be working to where you are. It's like time away from where you could be it's time away. It's time that you could be working to get where you want to be, that you're wasting. Then another thing with comparison, so this is like kind of choppy, but I just kind of had different points to make, is that recently I've just started seeing obviously more people talking about like how they feel like they have like their imposter syndrome and everything. And I'm seeing people like at the top of their game, like people that everyone else looks up to, talking about how they have imposter syndrome. And I'm just like, okay, if you don't feel like you're meant to be there, then what about the rest of us? And I think that has actually kind of given me more confidence, because obviously I know my worth, I know my talents and everything, and to know that even some people who are at the top don't even really feel like they deserve to be there, I'm just like, okay, well then I'm just going to appreciate what I have, and I know that I deserve to be where I am. I feel like I'm never really going to get to the point where I'm like, okay, yeah, everything is 100% good, everything is down, I feel 100% confident where I am. And so it's kind of like, why don't I start now, you know? Because you're not going to wake up one day and feel, you know, 100% happy with everything you have if you don't kind of like cultivate that, you know, to go along. Comparison, it is the thief of joy, it is the killer of happiness, it's the murderer of good days, because the amount of time I spent comparing to myself, it's just it's a wasted time, because I'm just like feeling bad. It's just a waste. You know, obviously the name of this video is life is long and we have time. And I always say YOLO, I always say carpe diem, because I do believe you should make the most of every day. And I think that comparison just isn't doing that. I think sometimes the thing of like carpe diem can actually make people compare themselves more, because they're like, oh, I didn't do enough today, no, like that person did so much more. So I think you need to find the balance. Yes, make the most of every day, but you should not beat yourself up for not doing as much as you thought you should do, or not doing as much as that person. And nobody else should really be your standard. Like, you shouldn't really measure yourself by anybody else. They say like, oh, you only compete with yourself, and I think that can be good to a degree, but everything within reason. And I think balance is the key word here, and just find the balance between working and between rest. Now for some real practical advice that you can put into effect right now, or as I like to say, RPAYCPIERN, you know, just to make it easier to remember. So number 1 is, don't try to stop thinking of something, but instead replace it with something else. And this is advice my very good friend Teni, who also has a YouTube channel, and you guys should go follow him. And yeah, you probably already do, but if you don't, you should. He gave me this advice when I was actually like in a very deep spiral of comparison. And it's kind of the idea that if you're just trying to stop thinking, oh, I wish I looked like that girl, you know, your mind isn't a void, like you can't just think of nothing. So instead replace it with another thought. So it could be, you could replace it with, oh, I'm grateful for how I look right now. Replace it with something completely different, like, you know, a goal you want to work towards. But just instead of just trying to stop thinking something, replace it with a better thought. If you're a Christian, replace it with like a biblical truth, something that you know to be true. Like I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and then that can help. And obviously, it's been said like the more you repeat these things to yourself, the easier it will be to believe. I'm still seeing if that works, but you know, I think it's pretty good advice. Number 2, put down your phone. I feel, you know, I'm just like a broken record with this, but I think generally unfollow that person that makes you feel bad about yourself, or mute them, mute that story. Like, you don't need to be bombarded with like imagery that makes you feel bad about yourself every second of the day. And like, for example, first thing in the morning, the best thing to do probably isn't to like go on your phone or go on Snapchat, you know what I mean? Like, just take a few, if you're a Christian, like, I don't know, just pray, thank God for the day, thank God for like waking up, or just like, I don't know, get up and do something else. Just don't go on your phone first thing in the morning, because you know, people do say it's sets to influence your day. I personally find that when I go on my phone first thing in the morning and I start seeing people, I don't know, people I'm comparing myself with, I'm just like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done that, yeah, you know. And so I think that is really good advice. So don't use your phone first thing in the morning, and just put down your phone sometimes. You don't need to be on it 24/7. And the third piece of advice is take it to God. And honestly, this should be the first piece of advice, because I think that is the best thing you could do. I do think it's easier said than done though, and oftentimes I know I should take it to God first, but I like to like brood, and I like to like, you know, I don't know, just really sit in that negative emotion. And I mean, I think it's good to acknowledge your negative emotions, but there's like, you don't really want to be sitting in a funk for like days and hours. And then surround yourself with people that remind you of His truth. Or again, if you're not Christian, just like people that remind you of things that you know to be true, like that you are capable and that you don't need to compare yourself with that person to like feel worth anything. So yes, okay, that is kind of all I have to say on comparison. You know, when you start talking and everything kind of leaves your head, I'm sure I could talk about this for hours and hours, and I could obviously kind of give my own personal experience with it, but this is what I have. Don't want to make it too long, and I want to talk a bit about the channel. So this is something I wanted to do forever and ever. I mean, obviously, yes, everybody wants to start a YouTube channel, but I like making videos for fun, like the one you just saw. And I've been doing a monthly vlog for this year, 2021, and I started in February, which is kind of annoying because I'm not going to have like a full 12 months. But anyway, and so I guess the videos that I would do now is kind of like connect this to like reacting to a video I made, and then like probably just, I don't know, drawing a lesson from it and kind of sharing the advice that I've been given, because I really like advice and I've been given a lot of good advice in my lifetime. And so that's kind of what this would be. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, you know, like, comment, subscribe. I'm genuinely just doing this for fun, because I didn't want to do this, and I didn't want to do this because I was like psyching myself out. I was like, oh my gosh, what if it flops? That'd be so embarrassing. Like, what if it doesn't take off and everything? But I think it's like fun thing. I like editing the videos, I do them anyway. And so yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you really enjoyed it. See you next video.
Hi there. Is this the final straw? Do you want to move so far away that you can brag about it? Then move to...
I hate this channel.
No! No! Tentacle Acres, where happiness is just a suction cup away.